Hello and good evening. My name is Catherine from SEB Housing, and tonight I'm going to run the lottery for the 3 affordable rental units at 180 Fearing Street in Amherst. So we're going to get the lottery underway in just a few moments. Just first wanted to give you some background information on who applied, so you have a better understanding of who will be in the lottery. So if you have any questions during this session, this Zoom session, you can type them into the chat feature on your screen, or you can unmute yourself. You were muted when you came into this session, just to minimize any outside noise. So keep that in mind. And the meeting also, you should have received the disclaimer at the beginning, letting you know that the meeting is being recorded because it is going to be posted to our YouTube channel, SEB Housing's YouTube channel, in case anyone who wasn't able to attend tonight wants to view it. So again, just some background information. All of this information that I'm sharing with you tonight is going to be included in a handout that is attached to an email that you receive from me later on tonight. So don't worry about writing any of it down. You will have the information handy when I send you the waiting list later on tonight. So all households who applied for this lottery should have been sent a lottery application number. So that was the number that you received in email that started with a series of numbers. So in this case, your number is between A.001 and A.025. Let me know if you don't have that number or if you forgot it. I'm not going to be calling anyone's name during the lottery. It will be the number that you're listening for. So there are 3 affordable units at 180 Fearing Street. There were 25 completed applications, so there's going to be 25 households in this lottery. There is a local preference or priority for these affordable units. And so you indicated on your application whether or not you're currently living or working in Amherst, and if you qualified for that local preference. Households with local preference will have higher positions on the 2-bedroom and the 3-bedroom waiting list than those who do not have local preference. There were 10 total households out of the 25 lottery households that have local preference. And you didn't have to submit verification of that local preference yet, but you will have to do that later on in the process. So there's one 1-bedroom affordable apartment, and there were a total of 16 completed applications for that 1-bedroom. There is one 2-bedroom apartment that's affordable, and there were 9 completed applications. For that 2-bedroom apartment, there were 4 applicants that do have local preference, and 6 of the 9 applicants for the 2-bedroom were either type 1 or type 2 households, which will mean that those larger households have priority for the 2-bedroom unit over any type 1 households, which would be the single-person household. There's also one 3-bedroom unit, and there were 6 completed applications for the 3-bedroom. 2 of those households have local preference, and then all 6 of the 3-bedroom applicant households are type 3. So they'll all have the same priority on the waiting list when I sort them. All right. So again, not going to be calling anybody's anybody's name tonight for the lottery. It's going to be that lottery application number that you are listening for. When I start the drawing, I'm going to be putting these index cards in the lottery box that I have next to me. Just a really simple process for the drawing itself. I'm going to show the numbers to you. I'm going to hold them up to the camera so you can see who was drawn. I have just a piece of paper here to jot it down because that'll be a little quicker for me than opening another window and typing in the order of numbers. And the first thing I'm going to do, the first drawing I'm going to do is going to be a local preference drawing. There's 2 drawings, so the local preference drawing and the general drawing. The local preference drawing is held first to establish an order for those 10 local preference households, and then that general drawing, all 25 households will be included. So following the lottery tonight, Each lottery household is going to be sent an email with next steps in the process. The waiting list, after I sort them by priority, so local preference and household type and all of that, those sorted waiting lists, those final waiting lists are going to be attached to that email. I'll be doing that tonight, so you should have it in the next few hours. And then in that email, or on those waiting lists, I should say, you're going to be able to locate your application number to see where you were drawn, or not even where you were drawn, but where you were sorted after these drawings took place. When you receive that email, you're going to notice that the top households on each of the 3 waiting lists are highlighted in green. And that's because those top households are going to be invited by the leasing office to immediately move forward in the process to complete the lease application with that management team. The leasing office's contact information is also going to be given to you tonight in this email, and your contact information will be shared with the leasing office as well. So you can coordinate tours of the property if you haven't already, complete that lease application if you're one of those top households, and hopefully move towards reserving one of the affordable units. So your placement on the waiting list determines if you're going to be able to reserve a unit. So it's after I've sorted and taken the preferences into consideration. If you're not one of those top households at this point, you're not going to be called forward to move on to the next step in the process. That doesn't mean you'll never be able to, because not every time we do a lottery, it doesn't mean the top households end up being approved and renting the unit. So we will make our way down the waiting list. If the top households, if you're third on the waiting list after it's sorted, for example, and those top 2 households ahead of you either decide they don't want to rent at Fearing Street any longer, or maybe they're not eligible after we do our subsequent screenings, or the leasing office does their lease screening, you might be called forward. So it's important too to keep in mind that SCB Housing, we've only completed your initial program screening based on what you self-reported on your lottery application. So you haven't yet been found lease eligible by the leasing office at 180 Fearing Street. Even if you find out tonight that you're the top household on one of the waiting lists, you don't want to give notice to a current landlord if you're renting, because you still have a few steps in the process to go. The first being to qualify for the lease screening, and then also you're going to be required to, after you reserve an apartment, if you're one of those top households, you're going to be required to submit all of your income, asset, and tax documentation, so we at SCB Housing can determine your final program eligibility. So at this point, you haven't submitted any of your application information yet in terms of your income and your assets and all of that. That will come as we move along in the process. So when you received your lottery application number for this lottery, there was a documentation requirements guide that was attached to it for you. Hopefully you've been able to review that a little bit, so you'd have some of the information gathered already, like your pay stubs, tax returns, that sort of thing, if you are one of those top households. You'll have about 10 days to submit the income information that is required if you are one of the top households, like I said. We've been told that the affordable units are ready now, so leases should be available immediately once you've gone through the process of lease screening and then the secondary final approval by SCB Housing. And then finally, quick reminder before we do these drawings, you will be required, if you move into one of the affordable apartments, you'll be required each year to recertify your income. So we always suggest that applicants or households who are renting affordable apartments, you maintain a file of your income, asset, tax documentation, and that sort of thing, so that, a year from now when you're recertifying with the leasing office, you'll have that information handy and you won't have to gather it all up again. So that's kind of it to kind of set the stage for the drawings. Does anybody have any questions before I start with the local preference drawing. A lot more information is going to be coming at you tonight when you see the waiting lists, and then a lot of what I just shared with you is going to be in another attachment to that email tonight. All right, so I'm going to start with the local preference drawing. So there are 10 note cards here. These are the 10 lottery application numbers for everyone who is eligible or indicated on their lottery application that they're eligible for local preference. So there's 10 cards here that have already been shuffled. I'm going to move them around, put them in the lottery box here, going in. Put the top on, shake it around a little bit. And I'm going to draw the 10 numbers. These are the local preference households, like I mentioned, and then all of these local preference households are going to be mixed in with the rest of the 15 cards for the general drawing. So everyone whose local preference will hear their number twice for these drawings. Okay, so the first number I've drawn here is 024. And then from now on, I'm not going to say the 0. If there is one, I'm going to just say the number. 1, 21, 3, local preference drawing, 19, 11, 14, 9, 18, and then the final of the 10 local preference households, the number is 7. So that was the local preference drawing. That is just giving me a order of priority for the local preference households when I'm sorting the results tonight. And now I'm going to do the general drawing here. So I'm adding those 10 local preference households to the stack of the rest of the lottery application numbers. And now all 25, since we have 25 households total in this lottery, I have 25 cards now that I'm just shuffling up a little bit more. And I'm going to do the general drawing so that everyone who is a part of this lottery is going to hear their number now. So this is the 25 cards now, going in again. And I'm going to draw 25 numbers now. So onto the general drawing. The first number is 4. Number 9. 17. 23. 2. 7. 13. 14. 5. 21. 25. 10. 19. About halfway through here, the general drawing. Number 8. Number 1. Three. 20. 22. 18. 24. 16. 12. 6. A couple more here. 11. And 15. So that was the general drawing for 180 Fearing Street in Amherst. What I'm going to do now with the results from tonight are populate the waiting list. So the 1-bedroom, the 2-bedroom, and the 3-bedroom waiting list, taking local preference into into consideration for the 2-bedroom and the 3-bedroom list. The 1-bedroom waiting list does not have local preference. So the general list will be what I'm referencing there. So I'll wait around for a few minutes. If you have any questions, let me know. You can expect to receive an email from me tonight, hopefully within the next few hours, with the results. And if you're one of the top households that's highlighted in green, if you see your lottery application number highlighted in green, that means that you have about a few days to get in touch with the leasing team, whose information you'll have tonight, contact information you'll have tonight. And the next step in the process is to do your lease screening with the leasing office and reserve one of the affordable apartments. And then you'll come back to SCB Housing to submit all of your income information, tax information, asset information, so that we can confirm your eligibility for the affordable housing program. So I appreciate you tuning in tonight, and you'll hear from me. The email that you receive from me tonight will come from info@sebhousing.com, and we'll be in touch. Have a great night.